Gardner. Today I'm here with Mr. Tuomi, a band director at Greenfield Central Junior High. How are you doing today?
Doing great.
I know you were a student teacher for GCHS in 2019. Can you tell me what that was like?
Sure. Funnily enough, when I got added in, the way that student teaching works at IU is that you get placed months before. I got placed about a month before the semester started. I was looking at another place, and then it ended up they jumped out, and then they sent a message to Mr. Ring saying, "Hey, can you come out?" And it was the first IU student teacher, and he said, "Sure." And he thought I had other options, and I showed up one day. I said, "Is this your choice?" And I said, "Yeah." He thought I was the only one. I think the experience was great. One of the cool things here, and you've seen it from other student teachers, they get to do everything. If you go to another school, it's like some people don't let you touch a band, like get towards a band at all. It's like dead quiet. You're only allowed to work with the concert band, and only for a few days or two. Here I was with everything, and the people who I was with, super helpful and knew when to step away, knew when to get in. And I think at the time in my life, being a student teacher, I was not going to be a teacher for a long time. Like at that point, I said I had to get it done to get a degree, and then I ended up being here, and I made the one place where everyone fit in, and it was like the staff there at the time was great. It was like I walked in and I was part of the staff day one. So the experience is great. I learned a lot. I fought a lot. I had the university and me and Mr. Ring on my side, so everything was cool. But I think it was one of the best experiences, and you can kind of tell I'm still here.
You never left.
I never left, no.
What was your first thoughts on Mr. Wing?
I didn't really get a good feel for him. You can probably know him, so he kind of gave his regular thing with a student teacher, smiley and all that kind of stuff, and you don't get to know him until you finally are in the room. I kind of knew Mr. Basso at the time because he taught me when I was at Rhythm X. So I was surprised. I walked in and watched it. I saw, oh my gosh, I knew that guy. So I kind of had an in. I didn't know that at first, but then when we started going, it was great. Mr. Wing's and even now, as a new teacher, he's a good mentor. He watches over. He helps you when you need and kind of directs you away when something's going wrong. So I think overall, first impression, you don't see much. But overall, he's a great mentor.
Were you able to get along with all the other students as being a student teacher?
Yeah, I think most part, as a teacher, you're going to fight someone. You're going to fight any kid and anything and any day. The thing a teenager is not is consistent. So you can walk into a room one day and they're great for you, and there's another day where something happened somewhere else and it's not great. I don't think I've ever had a time when I'm really fighting with a student consistently and I don't get to them. So, but obviously every teacher's going to fight a little bit with something or the other.
You were an IA for the middle school. How was it teaching sixth graders?
Well, funnily enough, I got out of that. Now I'm doing it again. Sixth grade is one of the best parts of the day because you have so many kids who are so excited about doing everything. Now you watch them do everything wrong first. You watch them blow in the wrong end. You watch them do everything that they're not supposed to do. But it's fun because all those kids are excited. You know, as you go later on, more and more kids start to get disinterested and come back. Disinterested and come back. Sixth grade is just a bunch of kids who are hyperactive and bouncing off the walls.
What was it like from teaching high school as a student teacher to then going to teach at the middle school with sixth graders?
I think the end goal for me when I was looking to be a teacher was to teach middle school. I like that age of kids. They're much better for me. My energy for those kind of kids are great. High schoolers get it, but junior high kids, a certain amount of energy is needed to keep them going. Same thing with your beginners. So the adjustment's just the amount of detail you put in, and the perspective for us, the great part about it is I'm the only person in this program who sees 6 through 12 every single kid. So I know if something's going wrong at the high school, I can go back in time and fix them in sixth grade.
So you work at the junior high now as the director, and how has that been going?
Great. I think we've made a good change. Miss Batley's been doing a great job. She does. In the past, it's always been kind of a head teacher and co-teacher or head teacher, assistant. We've done a good job of keeping it with both of us as two main teachers, and she does a great job, and she does some things completely different than I do, and to the other effect, when something's not going right for her, I can do it for her too.
What's the biggest challenge you have faced so far with teaching students?
My biggest issue is disinterest. So when a kid doesn't want to do something, it's hard to convince them to do it, and you have to keep coming back every day and get them to start. And then those kids who are afraid to do something, and you ask them, why are you afraid? And all those kind of things. Teenagers are as they are. Either they don't want to tell you or they tell you everything.
Did you feel intimidated to fill Mr. Ponkar's shoes? Because he was a legend after all.
Yeah, I think to a point he is an institution. I'm literally in the office that he was built for him. But I think for the amount of time I've been here and the amount of time I've worked with Mr. Ponkar, it's been an easy handoff. last year, Mr. Ponker was kind of walking out of it anyway. So he was already handing everything away. So last year he was kind of testing the water to see if there's someone who could take over. So when it got to the end of it, into the middle of the year, he said, I think I'm ready, because he was ready to see how everyone else was going. And it was time for that switch, because obviously kids are different nowadays as they are before. An older teacher sometimes can get to some students, and then the younger teachers can finally can fight it. I'm going to find that in 10, 20 years anyway. Someone young's going to come in and they're going to listen to everything they say, and I'm going to be the old dude. So I think it's intimidating at first. When I was starting the school year, I was afraid of what it was going to be like now that Mr. Ponkar's not there. What did he do that I never knew? And then all those things start to come up, and you adapt to it, and then you're ready to go.
Do you feel connected with your students?
For the most part, yeah. As we start the school year, you got to find the way to get to them. And every year is different. Every kid is different, but every generation of kid is different. You can say one thing and one kid loves it, and you can say another thing and they completely scoff at you. So you find this disparity between classes, and every class takes on its own personality. For example, like I have a woodwind class that's going on right now, and sometimes they want to fight you. And then other days, I have the same grade of kid on my last period of day, and they love it. Everything they do, they cheer and shout about it. But it's the same age kid, but different personality in the room.
So going back, you said sometimes you have like a struggle with motivating kids to like stay in band. How do you motivate them?
The biggest thing is, I think the things that students lack is perspective. Students who say they're failing or struggling don't see that progress has been made. Like, for an example, a French horn player who misses notes all the time, but realizes they're playing notes they've never played before. And then they get to the end of it and say, hey, do you remember when you were in 6th grade and you couldn't play a single note? And that's the benefit of someone like me who starts all these kids. Like, I walk in and say, hey, you couldn't play on the right side of the horn 2 years ago, and now you're playing something you couldn't even imagine even doing. So you can be frustrated, but it's just something where you have to give them perspective. Some kids they hide. They're in the back, and they do really, really well, but nobody ever really says, hey, you do a fantastic job. And when they hear that for the first time, it's an open door. They find themselves being more involved in everything they do.
How do you handle disciplining your students?
For me, I follow a routine, and that routine I teach every day. And for me, it's a little bit elementary, a little bit simplistic, but if something doesn't go right, I just start over. And it just keeps going back until we figure out we can waste time or we can do this. So, like my class, my 6th grade class walks in. They put their case next to their chair. They wait for me to say pack or set up. If they set up early, I have them go back in the next room, pick it up again, take it there. And the routine sets up, and kids realize very soon that if I just do it, it happens. But if I don't, we're just going to go backwards. So, yeah.
How do you use your teaching skills in marching band?
Pretty similar. There's a different level in which you're looking for in those kind of activities, because it's the only music activity really that we're being judged against other people for. So when you're looking for levels of excellence, you really have to put that expectation on students. You have to say things are not good enough right now. And you can say that in the classroom more often than not, but it doesn't have that real stake that you feel. You know, competition's one thing, but like telling them that you can win this if you do that. That's a way to get them to feel motivated. In my band class, I say, we can get past this if we do this. We're going to be able to do better things if we get to the next level. Marching band, it's literally like, we only can get this far if we all work. But if we don't work, we're going to be stuck. So a little bit of motivation extrinsically, but also having the idea of a certain level of excellence that everyone needs to get to across any age. You know, we have 8th graders to seniors, and 8th graders are expected to do the same thing. And those kids either, as you can see, fold because they're nervous, or they wholeheartedly take it. But it's that next challenge for kids, and I think it's easier at marching band at times because those kids want to be motivated.
So I know you mostly work as a brass staff and marching band. Mm-hmm. How do you use your knowledge to help like woodwinds and like the drum line?
Yeah.
Others?
So when I went to school, it was a little bit of everything. And some of the things I wasn't very good at first, I went out of my way to go take lessons. Like, I couldn't play a flute for the life of me. I tried to make a sound, and the whole time in my class, no sound came out. So I had to go pay a flute player to give me lessons, and for 2 months, I still couldn't make a sound. So after that, I started flying, and we started playing all the time. Same thing with drums. In my first job, when I was a substitute teacher, I was a long-term sub for one of my band teachers back home, and I ended up being a front ensemble tech. So I had to learn how to do marimba. I had to learn how to do grain and stickings. I had to learn how to do everything on top of that. And then I also took drum set lessons because I had to be a jazz dude too. So what I wasn't good at, I'm better at now. I'm not going to say I'm the best flute player in the world. I'm not going to say I'm the best clarinet player in the world. And that's why when we're looking for people in new jobs, we end up finding someone who fits that category. Like Miss Batley's a flute player. It just ended up, both of us found ourselves on two sides of the spectrum, and it helped out.
What was it like working with the drum corps?
I think there's two levels to it. Me as a person, I don't like to shout and yell and run around and all kind of stuff. And there's a certain energy that goes with drum corps that is different than with a high school or middle school student. Because the expectation is so much higher, and the expectation is you're always comparing yourself to someone else. Regardless of who you are, you're always doing it. Like, you get to see another corps and you see the score. Get another score and you play 50 shows out of the summer. The students there, and it depends on the year. My first year at Troopers was all virtual to start. And 95% of my mellophones were woodwind players. So I was literally teaching them how to be brass players before they got on the field. But after that, when we started getting some momentum, we started getting kids who really were interested who played the instrument. And that completely changed the dynamic. Like, it wasn't like, we're accepting this. It's, no, we can play this, you got to figure it out. But the drum corps world from a staff perspective, for me, is a little bit, at least from where I was at, was very struggle-oriented from us. It was, we would get to the end of the thing and something didn't go right, and then we'd all have to meet and say that you did this wrong, you did that wrong, which is good for a teacher. But it was just an environment that was helpful, and you can adapt it in a softer way for high school. So I think that's where it gets to me. But for me, a little too intense.
So lastly, to wrap this up, what advice would you give to someone who's looking to pursue as being like a director?
My advice would be to get as many places to work as possible. When I first started, while Greenfield's my first place where I was hired full time, I was a substitute teacher in Portage, Indiana. I was a trumpet tech in Center Grove. I was a sectional teacher and private lesson teacher in Bloomington. And I worked, I think, in 10 schools before I got here. And I saw so many kids and I saw so many teachers. You never know what you want until you finally find everything you don't want. So all those places I was at, I found everything that I did not like in a teacher. And it wasn't that those teachers were bad. It was just something that I didn't want to be. And I showed up here and I saw that everything that I wanted to be was in the teachers here. And that motivated me to try to be better every single day. And seeing people who have legacy here, like Mr. Ponkar and Mr. Wing, seeing the legacy that's built and then continuing that legacy, like, I still got another 30, 40 years in me teaching. So I can see the trajectory of where I'm going to be even if I stay here for the whole time.
Well, that's all I have for today, and thanks for coming.
Oh, no problem.
And thank you for watching.